In Media Watch, James Creedon is here to talk about embedded journalism. James, many media organisations, France 24 included, have taken advantage of being in with a certain side at a certain moment to get exclusive and unprecedented images. But obviously there is another, flip side to that coin.
Well, one of the criticisms you could make of it is that they're not going to get to see all sides of the action, because actually embedded journalists up to now, a lot of the time they've been at the airfields. We're talking about Mali specifically. They've been being transported with the troops, but not really seeing the conflict. Now, we had embedded journalists again yesterday in Gao, one of the towns freed in the north of Mali. And what we can see here, let's roll these pictures, is scenes from France 2 evening news yesterday, where the presenter introduces this report, and you see these scenes of jubilation, etc., flags waving, etc. But apparently, according to a number of reports, there was also looting and pillaging that took place in the town of Gao after the liberation. This report did not pick up on any of that, so it's giving perhaps a slightly skewed picture of what happened in Gao yesterday, which wasn't all positive. Now, of course, you could say we're picking, we're trying to find the negative aspects in something that was largely positive. Yes, but I suppose embedded journalists, they're with the troops. They can't wander off in the streets of Gao to try to find what else is going on and give a more nuanced picture. So that's one, I suppose, slightly. The other major piece of information, I suppose, coming out of Mali today was the first civilian casualties. And again, you could talk about where the journalists are in terms of this story, because a lot of them were in Bamako for the first couple of weeks. These 12 civilian casualties, let's take a look at the computer, because the Independent newspaper reported on this, amongst others. These 12 civilian casualties in the town of Kona took place some 2 weeks ago, but because journalists were being kept back for security reasons, it must be said, from the army's point of view at least, from the front line, it's only 2 weeks later we're learning about these 12 civilian casualties. So there you go. And indeed, I think it was AFP had pictures of that, where they spoke to various people who had been affected by that. One man who lost his wife and 3 children in another family. There were 3, I think, children in total who died of the 12.
Okay.
Casualties.
What's next, James?
All right, well, look online, Mark, at coverage on social media the day after a massive rally in favour of gay marriage and adoption rights. You have photos such as this one on one of the bridges in Paris showing a huge amount of people, but as ever with this debate, which has been going on for months now, it's extremely divisive. And what you're also seeing on social media is under the hashtag FLOP for all, because the main hashtag is marriage for all. So FLOP for all is photos being put up by people who didn't think that the demonstration was that impressive yesterday. Some 180,000 people plus marched. That's minimal figures. And 2 weeks ago, there were at least 400,000 who marched against. So here you have a photo which I suppose is suggesting that the numbers were minimal, but that I would suggest was perhaps taken after the crowd went by. Various other examples such as that. Now, that hashtag FLOP for all apparently was being more used than marriage for all at one point this afternoon. You also had people under this website's banner Democracy for all putting up photos, and I won't stay long on them because they're actually very rude in French, of what would you say, posters that were somewhat excessive in their words. People,
they are a bit excessive, you're right.
They are. I won't stay long on them. And I suppose the point I'm trying to make there is that people will find examples to prove whatever side they're on this debate, no matter what.
And I think what you're saying as well, but the statistics you've brought up there, I mean, I think it probably does reflect what people say, but it doesn't mean to say that those against, even though they're more numerous, should actually hold sway, because what we're talking about is here giving people democratic rights and enshrining their right to choose and lead their lives, they want to lead their lives. And if people are against that because it offends them, well, isn't that their problem? They should put that to bed themselves and get on with it. And maybe the state should protect the people who want to. Which basically have the right to love and live and lead their life the way they want to.
I think a lot of people were saying as well, the reason the numbers were so big 2 weeks ago is that it's easier, in fact, to rally people against something, because the reality is this law is probably, it's going to be debated from tomorrow onwards, but it's probably going to be passed. And so I suppose for people who were demonstrating yesterday, it's more difficult to rally people for something that's more likely to happen.
I'll just add, I'm actually in favour of gay marriage, but I'm also a Roman Catholic, so work that one out, because that's kind of, we live with our own contradictions, let's put it that way.
This is one of the main reasons it's been difficult in France as a debate.
James, we need to leave it there. James Creedon with Media Watch. Thank you, sir, very much indeed.